Fun. Hey, all. Welcome to Upstream Marketing Meeting. We all know each other. If you're watching this, that's strange, but good for you. But welcome. What's going on, folks? I've been a little out of touch in the last week or two. Got some stuff going on, but so I missed it. Any big news we want to highlight up front? Anything that's been cool to note?
I believe that I heard that Matt got a promotion, so that's
Oh,
pretty
what?
cool.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah, that's partly my out of touchness. I was signing off to go on vacation and was asked to jump on a call. And they're like, "Well, this isn't official yet, but yeah, I got a good I went from helping run an editorial to running the whole team of 4 editorials and how we're connecting into a growing marketing team. And I'm really pumped about it. It's what I've been wanting to do. So thank you very much.
Cool, congrats.
Yeah, thanks, man. So yay,
What's
that
that
is
at
pretty.
Red Hat, right?
Yes, yeah, yeah. I've got a good gig at Red Hat. I like what we're doing. Um, what else is going on? So I think KubeCon is cruising along. Is anyone either heard back from talks or do on the well, I should say I'm on the selection committee this year, which is pretty cool. So I'm reviewing 100 of the proposals for the 101 track right now. So that's kind of neat. Anyone else got stuff they need to do for KubeCon? Or yeah, what are you doing?
I'm reviewing proposals too in that boat with you.
I love it. I love when you can turn give people an honor, which is really just homework.
Yeah, I aggressively dodged proposal reviewing because they asked, and I was like, I'm talking to my boss. I'm like, well, like, yeah, I'm happy to if you want me to, but like to be clear, there's more stuff that's not going to happen. It's just like, no, don't do that.
Yeah, yeah. You got other stuff to do for sure.
But did get some good news. So they're setting up like so they did it for the first time at KubeCon EU, and they're going to continue it for KubeCon North America. But they're setting up like a business value track for KubeCon.
Oh,
So like
cool.
probably y'all don't know, but like Cloud Foundry. So I used to be heavy in the Cloud Foundry space, and like Cloud Foundry like Summit and their conference just to really be focused more than anything on like stories of companies that got like some like business objective accomplished because they were using this tooling, right? And like basically, uh, I've been working with this other group to like help share more Kubernetes or help the CNCF share more stories about folks achieving business outcomes with CNCF stuff. And anyway, so at the same time, they've created this like track to do this business value like stuff, and then we're trying to get involved in there's this business value subcommittee under marketing. It's trying to get involved in helping us like talks and stuff, and looks like that's moving forward in a positive way. So that's kind of exciting.
Cool. Congratulations.
Yeah, thanks.
On big wins that are actually specific to this group. I feel like usage of our @contributor.com's handle within Slack has really increased recently. I know Josh Burkus has used it a couple of times. Ian used it this week, and someone else whose name on Slack I think starts with an S. I'm gonna have to go back and check. Used it to help to let us know that they wanted to promote something. So I'm really excited to see people starting to be aware of that handle and reaching out to us for help.
I actually had a question there, and maybe I should save that for later.
No, that's great. That was great.
What do we like? Because I see that, and I wonder what in the world, like, should we actually like do when that happens? Like right now, I'm like, oh well, I won't worry about it because Caslin will handle it, which is definitely reduces personal mental pressure, but doesn't also feel like necessarily the right way to have this go long term.
Still pretty new for it to be used this much, so I think we're kind of figuring it out as we go. I think if you feel like answering the question and trying to help, you can always pull someone else in if it's an ask for something that you don't know how to handle or want help handling. But I think feel free to respond if you're there and feel like it. That's kind of how I've been looking at it. What do you think,
Okay.
Matt?
Yeah.
Or Rajula?
Rajula, what were you going to say?
Yeah, it's exactly the same. So even I'm not sure what's happening. I just respond to it. If there's something, we do it, or someone else does it.
Okay, so it's not, I guess I kind of thought originally it was people just wanting to tweet something, but then I did see like Ian reach out about whatever it was, some security related issue.
I have a note in our meeting notes that we'll go over what Ian wanted a little later.
Oh, cool.
Great.
All right, well, yeah, so good. I was just kind of curious, like, I didn't want to pop in, and obviously I'm not going to be useful as far as tweeting, so I'm staying quiet.
Right now, but that could change if you wanted it to.
Yeah.
And a lot of people just look out for information, not just tweets.
I tweeted for Linkerd the other day. Oh, I'm sorry, Rajula.
And I'm just saying a lot of people look out for the GitHub repo of our tweets or the Twitter account or the emails. So yeah.
Yeah, I think you know, I could see how you could handle this if we were doing like a full bore team system around it, of having like an on-call rotation or like a auto assigner when somebody gets added for that, for people to follow up. But I think we're on the very opposite end of it, where it's like we set this thing up so people could contact us. They haven't, and now they are, and it's a first come first serve. I think if you're feeling up for it, like you can have a first whack at it, like say like I think a lot of people will ask things that you are definitely in the context of knowing, and then if you can't get it done, you can at one of us directly to help you get it done. But I've realized like something I'm reorienting this week in response to that is like I've deprioritized Slack and prioritized kind of content for our team, but I'm realizing like the more valuable thing I could do with my time is to pay closer attention to Slack with the time I have and let the content be secondary, at least for the foreseeable future as people ramp up. How are you feeling about that, Caslin?
Yeah, I can relate to that struggle of trying to figure out which things to prioritize.
Mm-hmm.
It has been pretty quiet on Slack. Like I mentioned, like people haven't been using the @contributor comms handle that much. But I do think it's a great place for us to see what's going on and kind of catch up on opportunities for us to help. So can relate to the balancing act. With people
Cool.
using the @contributor comms more, hopefully it'll get a little bit easier for us to see what we need to help out with.
Well said.
Also, welcome, Savita.
Yeah.
Hello, hi. I can never make it to this meeting, but then today I got free and I was like, yeah, I'll check it out. And I also had a question. So I was like, what's the better place and time to ask? So
Yeah, perfect. Well, welcome. We were just getting into some new contact points from people, but now's a great time if you want to ask your question.
Oh, sure. Thank you. So I was in the community meeting yesterday and I missed one point. So there was a post or like an ask about the deprecations, and then there was a tweet. And then that time it didn't hit me with anything. And I was like, fine, that's a good way to publicize and everything. And someone also suggested that it's a nice, if it would be nice if we could put a blog from the release site together. And then today my shadows started asking questions, and then it hit me like the tweets are good, awesome, but we also want to make sure that since we moved from 4 releases to 3 releases in a year, and we haven't said anything from our side, the release side yet. So we just want to coordinate the next, if there are any more tweets coming about the deprecations, we just want to coordinate and make sure that these are good. It will avoid chaos, but we don't want it to actually cause chaos. So that's all. It's not a question per se. Probably it's a request or an ask. I should have framed it well.
No, that's completely okay. So just to make sure I'm hearing, your request is that if there will be communication about deprecations, like what do I do then?
These are about the API deprecations actually.
Mhm.
It's not even API deprecations, the API removal. So the features that went GA already, and they're gonna stop using the beta API versions. And there was a tweet that went out yesterday, which is amazing, by the way. Thank you for doing that. But we just get from the releases side, we also want to get ahead and then make sure that we are doing something about it, and not just like, I don't know, we just want to avoid more confusions or anything. We haven't said anything about it to anyone. We aren't even tracking those. It's understood implicitly that once the feature goes GA, and then these APIs will be, the BI APIs will be removed. But now that we are moving to longer releases, we just want to make sure if there is any processes or if we can coordinate between the teams, and stuff like that. If there is an opportunity to improve the coordination, we are getting a little better at coordinating with various SIGs and everything. So want to throw that out as well.
Yeah, I'll throw in a couple of notes about the community meeting and that, and then we can dive into how to collaborate on this kind of stuff.
Perfect.
So,
Yeah.
So that was a request from David Eads, who gave the section of the community meeting yesterday about the deprecations. He had reached out to us 9 days ago, I see, and asked us to do that tweet, which was mentioned in the community meeting for everyone who didn't attend. I took notes of the community meeting.
Oh, thank you.
So, and then Savita, you were giving the release team update there, right? Yeah. So our team, if this is the first time you've interacted with us, we try to help with communications that are related to contributor work and are directed at contributors, have to have a strong contributor relationship of some form. We are trying to build a stronger relationship with the release team. We've had a couple of members be on the release team. I think Rajula, yeah, you are right now.
Rajula is there, yeah.
Yeah, I'm on the comms chat of this release, yeah.
Yeah. So one of the things we have is the @Kate's contributors Twitter account. We have a GitHub repo, which is currently in a bit of an awkward state as we implement some new automation. But in that, the purpose of that repo is that it has some automation to take PRs into it. We're working on making it issues that are put into it, turning those into tweets once they're accepted. Then they would be tweeted out directly from that Kate's contributors handle so that more contributors can contribute to that. And we do a variety of other things too, like helping with blogs and things like that. Matt or Rajula, do you want to say more?
Yeah, I mean, we are a subgroup of the contributor experience team, which, mission is to make being a contributor easier and more fun. And part of that is like, there's so many of us and it's hard to get information out through all the channels people are looking. So the first thing we did was try to consolidate channels and help map those out. And that's still part of our long-term goal. But short-term, like, yeah, let's talk through what we need to do to plug into the system so that, I'm still not 100% clear on how we could be helpful in this case, but that's completely fine. Like we'll figure out what messaging and verifications or just cadence or whatever the right angle is.
Definitely. So I remember seeing the post like 9 days ago. I saw the post on ContribEx and I was like, oh, this is a good thing, because I was just thinking from one perspective. I didn't bring it up. I didn't flag it. I didn't bring it up to my shadows or anyone. I didn't talk to anyone about it. So the post that Caslin mentioned on the Slack channel, I just simply lurked. I always miss this meeting. I'm subscribed to the ContribEx. So I just read through the messages more or less in a bulk. And I came across this and I was just following that. And I was like, oh, that's so nice. Someone is reaching out and doing this, blah, blah, blah. And then recently someone raised a flag that, do we need to update K website because these APIs, beta APIs can be removed? I'm like, yeah, that's good. And then I talked to my lead shadows about, okay, do we have a process for it? And there was no process for all those things. That's why it didn't occur to me when I was in the call yesterday, and I was like, oh, that's nice, blah blah blah. I'll go retweet whenever the tweet comes out. So I was seeing from my perspective. So and I talked to more of my team, and I got to hear like, oh, this might potentially cause chaos, or we haven't said anything. I was really liking the idea that from releases side, we will also send a blog out telling like, already the Kubernetes website has deprecation list. It's very detailed, and they have what's going to be deprecated when. But it's a lot of change for the contributors right now, because we moved from 4 to 3 releases.
Yep. Yeah.
We extended the deadlines for certain things. We shrink the deadlines, which we are learning, we are adapting, we are taking inputs from everyone. It's not even I'm just throwing all the things out. Like I'm thinking with all of you, because
Yeah.
I have no marketing experience. My Twitter account just has retweets of Kubernetes stuff. I only created just to retweet Kubernetes stuff. That's about it. So like, you can help us, or you can help the release team. Like, if we have something, if you want to send out something, how can we better time it? Or like, if someone comes to you with release related information, like, do we need to like take a look at it because it's related?
Do we need to connect before it goes live? Yeah. That's so, pretty standard marketing flow when you're working with a product is product roadmap messaging has a contact point with whoever product manager or product owner. In this case, it's very much the release team is that product point of contact. And, let's talk through how we do that. Did I capture in the notes, like, is it the 1.22, the beta version of custom resource definition? And was it that tweet that we're talking about?
Yes, that's the one we are talking about.
Okay.
And
so if we could we talk through what happened and what would we like to happen in the future? Like, what would have been helpful? So what happened was, like, Kazlan, you were saying we got a request on the repo. And we tweeted, or no, it was from contributor comms handle.
It was in the Slack here.
Okay. Oh yeah, go for it. Type
Just one other thing to add here. So a while back we had a conflict with the PSP block. So there were release team working on it, and then there was us working on it, and there was Piyush liaising and then making sure of it. I think we need to make sure to avoid such things as well.
Say that one more time, Rajula.
I'm just saying we need to make sure that we won't have a conflict of people working on the same thing like we had with the PSPs.
So PSP one was really fun because we got to star in a presentation about it, but the the request came from the team lead for for contributor experience. So we collectively try to write up what we saw from public notifications. The team building the feature said, like, that is scarier than what is actually happening because there's uncertainty there. And that was where, like, okay, lesson learned, we're not the people to summarize it, even if we could help it get along faster. So we'll slow down and find out, like, how to connect with people who are building the feature. So in this case, so we got this request on this one and we tweeted. Was the person that requested it in Slack, are they involved in the release team or in the creation of this feature?
I want to say they are one of the SIG co-chairs, but I don't know. Probably they are responsible for that feature. They're not part of the release team that I know, but I think they are I want to say they are a co-chair or tech lead or someone responsible for that feature.
Okay, so somebody who's responsible for the feature requested us to share then update on the feature. Yeah, so in my current logic, that would totally make sense, and I would say we'd probably send that. So let's update the logic. Like, what Savitha, would have been what would have been an ideal way we responded to that?
So the I really like all the intention, everything about it. It was more like we had an heads up, or we just had like if we had an heads up, then we would have thought about stuff. In this case, to be honest, I knew about it, but it was just me, not my entire team. So I didn't hear the perspective. So probably it's something that I like as a lead that I might have to put in the retro and fix it as well a little bit. So, but overall heads up, or like, hey, release team, or just put it in our, we meet every week. So just put it in our agenda, or like, we'll just bring it up in front of everyone and ask if they have something to talk, or just make the release comms team a contact. Like they can be the middleman. It doesn't even have to be the entire release team. So they can bring it to the release team and they can channel back with the contributor communications. Like going forward, we could just make that particular team a liaison. Yeah. Not to overwhelm them, because they already have important stuff like talking to CNCF, talking to everyone. But that would be that would be the first go-to person, because they are already aware of communications and stuff.
Great.
For handling it. So
that totally makes sense. That I mean, there's already a dedicated point of contact, but they were out of this standard flow in which we're going right now. So I'm wondering, for that person, whether they would like to be either added to the contributor comms handle on Slack so they see the messages we're sending to each other. That's a potential, but I could also be a little noisy. I guess it's not used a ton, maybe max 5 times a week. Or B, when something comes up where there's a request and it has to do with a feature, we have a place to look for them so that we can grab their name and message them about it.
So it can go either way. So for my concern is that they might learn, when I wouldn't call it noisy, because they are in the release comms team and they are there to learn and contribute and grow more. That's how I see it. So it might not definitely be noisy, but it's a lot of overturn for your team in that way, that we would have to update and delete and update and delete and update and delete every cycle. So it's not just going to be like 1% who is going to be. So I want you all to think about it.
Yeah, no, I put that in the category of a pro as opposed to a con, because it puts the onus on us to actually know who we're talking to over there. And yeah, so I think there's like a little bit of there's a feedback loop there where, we have to update this. That means we know who the new contact is. We've had a conversation about them joining contributor comms handle, and I feel like it might anchor us to that group. I know it's manual and kind of a pain in the butt, but I kind of see that as a feature in this situation as opposed to a bug.
Yeah, and also we can also add it. So we can also proactively do it. We can add it to our comms handbook if Rajula wants to pick it up, since he's a comms team member right now. I'm learning how to not pile things on myself, and I'm becoming a little better. So
good for you. That's an expertise we all need to build.
Slowly, I'm getting there. Added to comms teams handbook, just to make sure that the future members are added to or talk to the contributing comms once we have a list that we could update, or like we could add more details into it, but we could just add like for now it could be like a line item. Make sure you sync with the contributor comms team. That way, it's just the onus is just not in the contributor comms team. The onus is also on the release team, that they can hey, in case if we forgot, because every 4 months there's going to be a new set of people, and you all have a lot going on, so they can also like nudge, hey, we are the newbies and we are here and we want to make things better, so learn whatever. So
I love that. I think it really connects us, like, because it's part of your workflow and it's something we have to do on our side, which is an immediate, like a quick win of let's get you hooked up into the system. Oh, by the way, let's tell you about how we work. It's almost like a natural kickoff to that relationship. And then I think if we've learned anything in Kubernetes land, it's like if you establish a way of having a relationship, the other stuff flows pretty naturally.
Yeah, that'll be wonderful. And to be like in the start, Rajula, please correct me if I'm wrong. In the start, the contributor comms teams, like the release comms team, have relatively less things to take care of. They are getting their feet wet and knowing about things, so they'll have a little more bandwidth to even know like what contributor comms is doing. It's like a really, really great opportunity for them to, probably participate in the meetings or like come provide, like you can even have a column like release updates once every 2 weeks or like once a
Oh
month.
yeah.
Come to the contributor, like this marketing team, and then talk about whatever they are doing or what's going on in our side. And so I think that's a great opportunity for them. I also want to be mindful. Hope I'm not putting a lot of things on their head as well, like piling on. But
Of course.
this is directly related to what they are doing. So
Exactly. Yeah, it's what they signed up for. So like it's additive value, and it would really help us all stay connected and make sure messages don't go out as necessarily like as urgent. It's more like the message is seen by the right people before it hits a new channel, which I think is the thing we're trying to build into the system right now. Like go as fast as we can, but not so fast that we miss an important perspective. Cool.
I love how this conversation is going. I mean, I really love all the things that you do. I'm like, oh, I see it. I see something from Kubernetes contributors. I'm going to retweet it, and it's all important information. I really like two things getting integrated.
Yeah, I'm really happy to hear that. Like, the pitch I've had when I got involved in Kubernetes more actively because Paris had an old issue that said we need like a marketing team. And I love this stuff because I think great marketing is really just good community leadership, like clear communication, clear channels, connecting people. And it's fun when we do it well. and it turns into a great talk when we don't.
And you all do it so creatively, which I really love. Like with so many props, sometimes it has all the pictures that do that's the talking. I really love all those things.
That's Caslin. She's brilliant.
Yeah. That's so wonderful. I'm like, oh, I see Catherine's name. And I also saw that one of the blog posts that she is trying to write or assign to herself from like the releases thing, which was like it was on my plate and Anna's another release team member on both our plates for 2 releases, and we haven't gotten it out. So I was so excited when I just clicked through stuff right now to see. I'm like, oh yeah, I might just reach out to Caslin later and say, hey, these are the things that we had in our mind. So just like feed information so that it's not burdening for you. And we all have the information, and I just don't have the right time or right tool. And I really want to write something. I want to write like a blog or something, but I'm so bad at it. So I'm like,
oh, we're totally here to help. I have turn things that people, if you can send an email, you can write a great blog post. So write down anything on your mind. If you send it my way or Caslin's way, we have volunteered as tribute to help people turn that into a first draft anytime.
Oh, it's wonderful. So I'll probably put together something. If I see something that's unassigned, I'll pick it up. And if it's related to something that I know, or I'll just put something up. And
a great default, if you're just like, I want to write, but I don't know about what. Our default kind of question for people is like, why are you contributing to Kubernetes? How did you get here? What does it mean to you? What do you want future contributors to know about it? I mean, that's got like a really nice beginning, middle, and end story. It's your personal experience, so you can't be wrong. So it's like it's a great way to kind of get your feet wet with the storytelling.
Oh, I'll do that. Mine started speed mentoring. And
oh, really?
Yeah, that's how it started. So I don't get bored.
I haven't heard that before. That's a good one.
Yeah, it was like 2018 Seattle. That's how it started.
Nice.
So thank you for having me and listening to me. I've taken like 30 minutes of your time just talking about
this is the best. This is the best when we can actually help another team inside Kubernetes. Like, we keep showing up every Friday. We talk amongst ourselves. We know each other pretty well, but like, we're always hopeful that people show up and need help. So thank you for showing up. That's hard to add to the calendar and very helpful. Go for it, Caslin.
And
Thank
before
you.
you go, I
Yeah.
want
I'm
to
not gonna
add
go.
in
I'm
something
gonna be
else.
here. But I
Oh,
just
okay.
felt so bad that I have taken like 30 minutes of all your time. So I just want to be
That's
mindful.
great.
I saw the agenda. There is a lot to go on. So I'm like, okay, it's
I
time
get
that I
that.
shut up and then listen or like watch them talk.
Yeah, there's one other thing I want to add to our notes and general awareness that I heard here, which is, and which I'm connecting back to the community meeting. We talked about the KEP in the community meeting that is about kind of restructuring the schedule of releases. We talked about we're having 3 releases now and how that's changing. Part of the KEP was also planning out the release schedules farther in advance. So there are a few changes that are going on there. And I think that's a really important point for us to both coordinate with the release team on and to help communicate to contributors. So I want to make a point for us as the contributor comms team to work with you all at the release team to help communicate those changes that are in that KEP and that are happening to your cycle to contributors. It doesn't have to be an immediate thing, but something that we should keep an eye on and work together on.
Definitely.
Marjula,
We
you might
had
have something there.
Yeah, I just have one thing to add. So my point was like, can we add this to a checklist of a release saying to create a PR in our tweet repos so you can review it and we can review it and then just tweet it out?
Absolutely.
Yeah, that would be nice. And to Caslin's point, so they want to publish. So there are works in progress, or at least I know who wanted to sign up for it. So I'll give you the names so that it's Jeremy and James. I will send you the Slack handles. They are working on the blog, and it's not gonna go in the release. It doesn't come under release at all. So they want to publish out of band. But they are working on it.
Cool.
Point of contact. So I'll send the IDs to you in Slack, or probably I'll just maybe open a DM and then say like, hey, I had a chat, blah blah blah, whatever. And if I could find the post, I thought they created an issue, but they haven't. But if I find the issue, I'm gonna send it your way so that you are aware. Easy to track.
Perfect.
Yeah, I'm really liking it. Like, we should just add it somewhere. Like, if you have something, if you want a blog, and if you want the marketing team to be involved, this is the process. Go through this process, you know.
Yeah. Good. Well, I'm really excited about that. So, do you want to keep cruising along the agenda? Does that sound good? Okay. The steering issue, I think, is up next. Caslin, did you add this or?
I've
Or
added
that was
this. Paris pinged this a while back. I think it's last now.
Oh, that was. So we're all. Are we good with this?
There are a lot of things in that, so I'm not sure which one we should follow up on. Yeah.
Oh, is this about the contributor report?
Yeah, it looks like it.
Yeah, she pointed me to this last week. The report wasn't out yet. I think it's out now. We talked about it in the contributor community meeting, the monthly meeting. So I think that report is out now. She asked us to watch out for the blog to come out so that we can tweet about the blog coming out. If we look at our meeting notes from last week, there might be more notes from our conversation with Paris on that. But yeah. So I think that's what these are all about, is like stuff we should do to help let people know that the contributor report is out.
Yeah, I was wondering if it'd be helpful if one of us reach out to the author from last year. I'm trying to remember who that was. Was that Divya?
The report sounds giant.
So. Yeah, I mean the author of the blog post from last year.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's looks like, yeah, I see Divya has done some editing on a blog post here. Okay, maybe this is cruising along without us.
Yeah, I think the blog was already in progress.
Okay. Well, we're here if we're needed. It sounds like they've got it under control.
They want us to keep an eye on it and maybe look through the contributor report ourselves and try to see ways that we can help alert SIGs to things that they should know about. Paris is very into the report and thinks that a lot of the sections in it could really help SIGs do more things more effectively and help companies as well that use Kubernetes or are involved with contribution to learn more and do more. So there's a lot in there that I think needs unpacking.
Maybe why don't we dedicate a chunk of next week to kind of walking through that collectively? I think that'd be fun as an exercise together.
Actually, maybe we should even go through that exercise ourselves and then tell people about it, other SIGs about it, because
yes,
she was very into like the SIGs should look at this and worried that they wouldn't. So maybe, well, she didn't say that, but that's the sense
you're reading between the lines there, but
yeah,
it's pretty valid that like you get a big report when you're already busy. You're not going to read the report.
Exactly.
So review report, write up how we did CTA, like the call to action being like recommending that leads do that, and we can maybe even email that to leads after.
Yeah, maybe also Kate's.dev blog post.
Yeah,
because it would be a very contributor focused kind of thing. But
yeah, we could do a .dev blog post, and then we can email that with like a really like a 2-sentence one, like, hey, we wrote up our experience doing it, to the SIG leads, like highly recommend taking part of your next meeting to do that with your team. That way they're not trying to schedule it outside of their other hours, and we'll make it a little bit more likely. That sounds fun. Let's do that. I love working sessions.
Let's record those action items.
I did in the agenda for next week, just real quick.
Ah, perfect.
Yeah, but good call. Cool. Very cool. Thank you for clarifying that, Caslin. And what's going on with, I saw some conversation with Ian, SIG security. Do you want to walk us through what came up there?
Yes. So Ian was just like, I have a security question and want to talk to someone from contributor comms. So we went into a DM and chatted. And what they were really looking for was very much what we're talking about with Savitha today, which is better guidelines around the process for when we help out with communications that are around very sensitive security information. As we all know, there's plenty of problems and things that can go wrong there. So one suggestion that we came up with that we really liked was for us to create a security communications guide for us to put in our repo, which would be a best practices guide that we collaborate with Ian and Tabitha, the co-chairs of SIG Security, on to make sure that anyone from contributor comms who is working on any kind of sensitive security communications can understand these are the best practices that you need to follow as you're working on this communication. So I included one that they mentioned a couple times in our conversation and said that we should reach out to Ian and Tabitha directly as we start to parse this out if we think that this is a good approach. So there you go. What do you all think?
That sounds fantastic to me.
Objections.
No. I mean, yeah, we're getting into I guess I'm processing like we don't have that, but it really just comes back into the open sourceness of the open source. Like we don't have that. Solid. Let's do it. I mean, that is what you do in like you usually do that after you run into your first security bug at a startup, and I guess we are the team that normally works with teams to do that. So awesome. How can we help? How can we help you, Caslin, get that going?
Yeah, that's a good question. So the way I'm thinking that this will go, I'm not quite sure what comes first, the PR or the chat. Maybe I might as well take this on since I mentioned it. I figured that's what I would end up doing anyway. I could create some kind of a markdown or Google Doc to work with Ian and Tabitha on to get this list of best practices, kind of go back and forth to figure out what all needs to be on that guide, and then just PR it into our repo. And then make sure everyone knows, of course, in our meetings that we have this new process for security communications. Maybe include some examples of things that count as sensitive security communications as well for us.
Great. And
if
I think
you need
somewhere
help with that, I can collaborate with you on that.
What was that, Rajula?
Yeah, if you need help with that, I can help collaborate with the discussions and the PR. Yeah.
Awesome. Having a couple people on that might be nice because people, around at different times and things. So having some async communication with a couple people on it is probably good.
Good.
Thanks, Rajula.
I can help as well. So I run a project for SIG security documentation. So if you need some help, but my replies might be a little delayed until the release goes out. So after that, I might be able to do full-fledged. Right now, so I'm not actively signing up for so many things, but just keep me in mind. I can just
if we want to,
bring it
you'd be
up.
down to review.
Yeah, and I attend the SIG security meetings regularly. So if you want some person to represent and bring this, whatever the process is happening in that meeting, I can do all those things so that if it'll save time and stuff like that. I go there regularly. So
it's definitely something, as Ian said in their KubeCon talk, there's a variety of SIGs that need to be more collaborative and more in the know as these types of things are being communicated. So that's a great point.
And, I can do this in parallel or after we start getting going, but I could reach out to Paris and figure out contacts at CNCF for this, just to make sure whatever we're putting together, maybe it's something we can copy and paste from what CNCF already does. We'll have our own sort of strategy with our community, but maybe they have a playbook for this across multiple teams, since they do have a strong marketing function but that's specific to CNCF, but at least we could learn from them.
Yeah, or if they don't, maybe they want something like that once we mention it. So maybe we should start there if you want to reach out to the CNCF folks and see what they have, or if this makes sense to them, or generally get their feedback on it, and then we can go from there.
Great. That sounds great. And do you know if we already have a means for people reporting security vulnerabilities? Like that whole mechanism?
I would ask Ian and them.
There you go.
They might know too.
I think they just mail. I mean, some of them might mail PSE.
Okay. Yeah. So
I'm not sure 100%, but I think that is the point of contact for filtering or like seeing if it's actually a vulnerability that affects, or like it's like on the low score or the high score. I'm not totally aware of the process, so this is like just take it with a grain of salt.
Sure.
They they mail PSE, and I think that's it. I don't know. Probably there might they might have some private channels, but I'm not aware of those any. So probably those are for discussions.
Sounds great. The first thing I found when looking around is that all incubated projects in the CNCF have to have a security vulnerability response policy these days. So I think we just we existed before that existed, but maybe you can grab some stuff from there. Cool. All right, moving right along. We're actually just 2 minutes to the top of the hour, or to our end time, with some breaks between meetings. Anything else urgently we want to go through? I know Karthikeyan had a big update to the code base for automatic tweets. Any quick conversations there?
Yeah, so the first pull request did crash our previous process, but that's fixed now. So
Cool.
Kathleen, you can test it out sometime. There's one other problem. So for every issue that we want to be made into a pull request, needs to have a label called tweet. So by default, Kubernetes repos don't have an option to add the label we want. So for
Oh,
that, we need to create a pull request and then test infra repo and then get a label or use an existing label. So I pinged Bob to get a suggestion on this. So based on that, we can fix this. Probably we should have it by next week.
So until then, we won't be able to tweet through the repo, right?
No,
'Cause
we can. We'll be able
anything,
to tweet, but not through the issue. The normal process is
but
working
not through
now.
the issue. Okay, so the normal
Yeah.
process is
Yeah.
back up.
Yeah.
Great.
yeah.
Thanks. I was a little confused with what all was happening.
Yeah. There was one thing Karthik pointed out, Karthikeyan, was that we are still using master as the branch name,
Mm.
not the main. So because of that, we had the problem with the previous automation. So we need, at some point, we need to move that as well.
Yeah, let's
A great point.
let's push that fix for sure.
I
We
guess
need
don't
to
have
be
time
sure.
for
We need
working-
to, we need to be careful to update our CI as well when we change this master to main. So it might break our tweet process. I can actually do it after the whole thing works, probably next week. I can take it up and move the changes.
Okay, and I'll open an issue to track that in the
Yeah.
repo. Move from.
Rajula, I don't see the TweetDeck checks on the tweet that I mentioned. The one pull request that we have in the repo.
This is a bit
was
old,
guessing-
right? Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty old.
Yeah, maybe if you can push an empty comment to this should work.
Okay, I was about to make a comment like, sorry, things were a little bit weird for a minute, so I haven't done this
Yeah.
yet, but okay. I'll do that and see if it updates.
Yeah, you can just do an empty comment to the same pull request. It should work.
Okay.
Cool. Trying to remember. We need a label. Like, do we label issues in this repo? I don't think we do. Great. Okay. Well, thanks all. This was a really exciting and fun upstream marketing catch up. Great to see you. And catch you next week.
Thank you, everyone. This is like a very happy Friday meeting, actually.
Oh, yay.
Thanks
That's
for
exactly what we want.
And, I hope I can make it like permanent in my calendar because I am going out of this meeting happy. So
Oh,
it's a good thing for Friday.
I feel that same energy. Yeah, I leave Friday mornings feeling pretty good after getting to hang with you all. So good. All right. Well, have a good rest of your day, y'all. Take care.
Take care.